Released in 2016, Vaxxed, From Cover-Up to Catastrophe, has been a rallying call for the anti-vaccination movement. Written, produced, and directed by Andrew Wakefield, a doctor who lost his medical license and once discredited by many mainstream scientific communities, it comes across as a passion project of self-redemption, as well as pushing conspiracy theories and pseudoscience. The story centers around a whistleblower at the CDC, as well as Wakefield himself. And while it neither exonerates Andrew Wakefield nor proves the corruption in the CDC, gullible people worldwide have bought into its claims. As such, this series is a long-form refutation of not only the film and its claims, but an examination into who is behind Vaxxed and why they made it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my long-form refutation of the movie Vaxxed. Now, this episode will more than likely be the second to last, because I've only got a few more things to touch on, and then pretty soon, the cleverly titled Vaxxed 2 will be coming out, and then we're just gonna have to start all over again. Now, previously, just to recap, we did look into the troubling history of Andrew Wakefield, the birth of the modern anti-vax movement, some of the more suspicious people who were involved in the production of this film, and really there's two main things that we need to focus on before we're done. One of those are the celebrity doctors that were involved and lent their credibility to the film. Let's get started. First up, we're going to be taking a look at Dr. Rachael Ross. Now, she provides, in the film, what I like to call the natural conclusion effect, which is basically the filmmakers give her the information, she goes through it, and then comes to the natural conclusion, which happens to be what the filmmakers really want her to conclude, as an everyman that you, the viewer, can relate to, and thus that conclusion seems more likely to you as well. In fact, Bigtree, years later, while interviewing her on his little radio station, he said this.
That moment ended up, it's the pinnacle moment of the film. I mean, the film closes on that. I said to you afterwards, I said, you do realize what you just said, Rachel. That could be very problematic to your career, not only as a doctor.
But she's not just a doctor. Rachel is also one of the former hosts of The Doctors, which is the show that Bigtree helped produce. As well, she's known more of a sexologist than like a family practitioner. However, she does maintain a family practice that she does work at in Indiana. Now, some of you might be asking, what is a sexologist? Well, it's not really anything that exciting. It's somebody who, studies pretty much anything that has to do with human reproduction. However, that's not really what's interesting. What is interesting is some of the little side gigs that Rachel has been doing since she left The Doctors. Not only did she jump into the anti-vax community with both feet, which we will detail out in just a moment, but she also started the Dr. Rachael Institute. Now, what is the Dr. Rachael Institute? I'm glad you asked. It is an institute, an online college-ish, where you can get certified as either a certified clinical sexuality coach or a certified sexpert. She's basically giving online courses in how to be a life coach and help couples who are having problems being intimate with each other. Now, I have absolutely no idea what being certified under Dr. Rachael's Institute is even supposed to really do. I guess it's something that you can, hang on a wall. I did this. This one lady says that I am, in fact, an expert, just, putting it out there. But I do know that to be a certified clinical sexuality coach is $3,799, and to be a certified sexpert is $2,799. Woof.
So I have sent you what William Thompson has said is the fraud at the CDC. All of that data that was missing. Did you get a chance to really look it over?
It's really unbelievable.
Now, keep in mind, these two have been acquainted for years. And she's not just a doctor, but she is an actor. an actor. And around the time that she was being filmed for Vaxxed is around the time when she left the show, which is a little suspicious, but we'll get into that a little bit more too.
And so when you sent me this and you were like, check this out, and I think you and I had been kind of going back and forth about what was happening with vaccines, just a little here and there, but then you sent me the information that we discussed in Vaxxed, and I just, honestly, I don't even know if I hadn't have been pregnant, if I'd have even spent a whole lot of time on it. But I was like, well, this is coming up for me anyway, so let me go ahead and take a look. And honestly, it changed my whole life completely. Like, we're all put on this planet to try to do our best for ourselves, our family, and for the universe. And so when I looked at everything, it was very clear. It was very clear that something was going wrong and that we needed some answers. We still haven't gotten any answers.
Now, this sounds reasonable. I mean, perhaps this information that was given to her, which I've already demonstrated was complete bullshit, maybe that did sway her. Perhaps. But then there's this.
But personally, what changed for me is, I try not to see very many children because I can't meet the guidelines on the shot schedule.
So your answer is to just not be the one to vaccinate them? What?
What will you say the next time a mother sitting there with her baby in their hands says, Dr. Rachael, is the MMR vaccine safe?
I'm going to tell her. I'm going to say, honestly, I'm not going to give the MMR vaccine to my babies, and here's why.
And that, right there, is the last real shot of the movie. Like I said, the natural reaction. Now, since then, Rachael has made some troubling choices. In a moment, I'm going to show you a clip that was featured on Larry Cook's YouTube channel. For those who don't know, Larry Cook here is a charmer I've spoken about before, who likes to take the stories of children who pass away and claim that they were done by vaccines. And he also does it without getting permission from the parents, too. Real charming creep. But anyway, this clip we're about to see of Rachael is from a rally in California.
Dell presented me with this information and said, Dr. Rachael, I really want you to look at this. He didn't say anything. He didn't tell me his stance on it. He sent me the documents, and I almost fell out of the chair, okay? So taking it one step further, I get on YouTube. I start watching videos of moms and their babies seething. And the mom is saying, I just vaccinated my child yesterday. So between the videos, between the data that Dell sent to me, I said, oh my gosh. As a family medicine physician, I order vaccinations every day. As a family medicine physician, board certified, I've been doing this for over 10 years. I have trusted everything that the CDC and my American Academy has taught me. And then to sit there and realize that maybe a bunch of what I've just digested, I didn't do any research on it, took it to be the gospel and the truth, could in fact be harming children, almost made me have a heart attack.
Wait a minute. So you didn't research it then, and it scared you?
A bunch of what I've just digested.
I didn't do any research on it.
Took it to be the gospel and the truth.
So if the natural reaction of somebody who is trained in medicine and science would be to see that this is in fact complete bullshit, and you have not come to that conclusion, does that mean you still haven't researched it? Still? Now, what's really going to bog your mind and is truly messed up is that the same day that she attended this rally, her website also released this article. And this article is detailing out why she is afraid of vaccines. That's kind of oddly timed, don't you think? I mean, she lives in Indiana, she's currently in California attending a rally, but she made sure that this very lengthy post was going to be put out the same day that she's in this rally. But then also, the other thing that's really troubling about this is down here at the bottom. Down here, what does that say? Please ask questions and make the time to go see the documentary, Vaxxed. Now, I'm not going to accuse Rachael of earning any residuals from the film because I have no idea if she did. But it does seem kind of odd that she would make it very, very explicitly clear that she feels very, very fearful of vaccines on her public profile on her website at the same time, the same day she is publicly speaking out and about in public, and specifically cites that you need to go and see this movie that she was just in. It's odd. It's suspicious. And maybe she's just really good friends with Del Bigtree. Maybe they're such good, tight-knit old friends that she just did it out of the kindness of her heart. But I don't think I'm being crazy here when I say this whole pageantry just feels like one big commercial for the movie. That's what it feels like to me. Next up, we have Jim Sears, and Jim Sears is a medical doctor who comes from a very large family of doctors, and he, like Rachael Ross, was an actor on the TV show The Doctors, and, much like Rachael, left around the same time in 2016. In fact, in March of 2016, he posted this post to his Facebook wall. To be perfectly clear, I am a pro-vaccine pediatrician. Just today in my office, I gave my patients all of their required vaccines. I treated patients with high fevers and was thankful they had been vaccinated. I want the vaccines that I give to be safe and effective. When I was presented with evidence provided by a top CDC scientist named Dr. William Thompson, who has stated clearly that the CDC committed fraud on the MMR autism study, I felt compelled to make my comments included in the film Vaxxed, From Cover-Up to Catastrophe. Now here's his main clip from the movie Vaxxed.
Still trying to digest it, because this study, which was used to kind of give the definitive answer to us pediatricians that, oh, the MMR is not related to autism, I kind of feel like I've been lied to. When they set out to do the study, they wanted to look at the data and interpret the data, but then there's a piece of data that they chose to ignore. The data they excluded was really, really significant.
And like I explained in the previous video, episode 5, there was no cover-up, there was no controversy. But then it seems like he didn't really look that far into it, and I do have my suspicions as to why. But before we get into those, I really have to mention Jim Sears' complete wingnut chucklehead of a brother, Bob Sears. Bob here got in trouble a few years ago for, well, abusing the medical exemption rule in childhood vaccines. You see, he was giving families medical exemptions from vaccines for inappropriate reasons, and the Medical Board of California was going to strip him of his license, but chose instead to give him 35 months probation, which is 35 months of another doctor looking over your shoulder to make sure you're doing everything right. However, at the same time, he continued to be a rampant vocal anti-vaxxer and publish a book full of a bunch of misrepresented facts, pseudoscience, bullshit. And hey, earlier this year he got in trouble again for doing the same thing. This time trying to give a vaccine exemption to a little girl because she has psoriasis. Now he'll probably lose his medical license soon, and I hope he does. But really, you just listen to this.
You would think that the FDA would take each of those ingredients and study them in human infants to make sure that each of those ingredients are safe. Well, they haven't done that.
Ooh, you hear that? Oh man. Right next to a giant list of ingredients that aren't even in vaccines. Like seriously, what is aborted calf fetus blood serum? What is that? Like, what is this, a 1950s horror movie? That's not a thing. Anyway, he wants us to take all of these different things and inject them, one by one, into little human babies to see if they're safe or not. That's what he's saying. Listen to this.
You would think that the FDA would take each of those ingredients and study them in human infants to make sure that each of those ingredients are safe. Well, they haven't done that.
See? Anyway, that's Jim Sears' idiot brother, Bob. I had to show that to you because it's such a gem. Here's what I wanted to show you about Jim Sears in specific.
Tell us what the measles are, because most people have never seen it.
Many times it's a mild illness. You get this terrible rash and a fever and terrible cold symptoms, and your child is miserable, cough. But
we have more than tripled the numbers of doses of vaccines we're giving our children in the last quarter century. At the same time, we have seen children become disabled and chronically ill.
Now, this is from 2008, around the time that Jim Sears joined the cast of The Doctors. And that is Barbara Loe Fisher, the head of the National Vaccine Information Center, which is her own little pocket pseudoscience propaganda network. And this was them debating vaccines and vaccine safety on a nationally broadcasted, insanely popular TV show. And Barbara is being put there, even though she's a rampant anti-vaxxer and notorious, even back in 2008. But she's brought on as if she's some kind of expert. Why was she there? Why was she given that kind of a platform? Well, I do have my suspicions, but so far that's all they are.
Should I be mandated by the government?
I will say no, you shouldn't, because I do have a few families in my practice that have some sort of familial tendency towards reactions to certain vaccines, the live vaccines, and they're in studies in places like UCLA. But that's not all families, just a few families. That's why I'm against mandatory vaccines.
Okay, so you're against mandatory vaccinations. Now, keep in mind, mandatory vaccinations are not you have to get a vaccine. It is if you don't have your children vaccinated, they can't go to public school, where if they had a contracted disease that was vaccine preventable, they could infect kids that can't be vaccinated. So that's what mandatory means, is that if you don't get your kids vaccinated, they can't go to school and make sick kids die. That's what that means, okay? Just so we're all on the same page. All right, let's keep going.
Here's the thing. There's a lot of studies out there. Some of them show zero, and let's just talk about autism at first. Some of them show no link, and some of them show a possible link. Me as a physician, I stayed with an open mind when the autism vaccine debate first came online, and I had a lot of parents scared and asking me questions, and I kind of went along with it. But over the last several years, the data has shown, okay, it probably isn't just the vaccines. What is it? We still don't know.
Boom, right there. Not only the vaccines.
The data has shown, okay, it
probably isn't just the vaccines.
And sure, at one point in this video, he does say, well, there are children who don't get vaccinated and do get these diseases. But the way he frames it is so damn slippery that it basically is insinuating that vaccines might be a component for things like autism, which they are not. And that makes you, Dr. Jim Sears, an anti-vaxxer. That's what that makes you. That's what that means. Even back in 2008, we knew that wasn't the case. We understood it, and since then, we just know it even more. So yes, I'm sorry, as much as it might be uncomfortable and kind of a black mark stigma for you, you're an anti-vaxxer. So was Jim Sears a card-carrying member of the anti-vax cult all the way back in 2008? I don't know. Is he even today? Again, I don't really know. But I do know that his proximity to some of these very, very troubling people makes me not have a lot of confidence in his ability. And even more so, his apparently stated position as recently as 2016 makes me feel that, yeah, from my opinion, he would be completely indoctrinated. He's probably a full-blown member of the anti-vax cult. That's my conclusion. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for your attention. We've got one more to do. In this one, we're going to be detailing out how the Vax team intentionally and specifically targets minority groups to try and indoctrinate them into their cult-like behavior. And then, I'm just going to wrap this all up and call this one done. I'll be working on that one as soon as I possibly can. I would like to get this series concluded, and then we'll move on to other greener pastures. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I know it's been a long project. I know you guys have been patient. So, from my family to yours, I hope you are well, and I hope they're well, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.